My name is Mariano Martinez Peck. I work as a software engineer at Instantiations, where I mostly develop the BAS platform, also previously known as the BA Smalltalk. And I'm really happy to be here in France, so thank you for the organizer. I live 3 years here in 2010, more or less, so it was happy to be here again and got some good memories. So today I will gonna talk about how to build hybrid applications with WebView2 and BAST. And if you're not aware about what WebView2 is, don't worry. I will try to do my best to explain what it is. The agenda would be, first I will give a little bit of context about what's the goal, what we want to do. And then we will talk about what is WebView2 in particular. We will see the concept of what it is hybrid applications, which is something that is being commonly developed these days. We will follow up with Gmod, which will be most of the talk. And finally, some Q&A at the end. So, as I said, to put a little bit of history, what we try to address in this presentation is we have a native application, a fat client desktop application, and how can we embed web content in that desktop application, okay? So how it started? Well, basically, back then, the browser used to be Internet Explorer in Windows, right? And Instantiation would have a lot of customers that would normally embed somehow simple web pages inside their native applications, okay? The way that they used to do this is because the IE Explorer used to offer OLE controls. So through the vast OLE mechanism, you could embed your Internet Explorer in BAST. So that was easy. The problem was that in 2023, Internet Explorer was completely dropped from Microsoft through an Edge update. So suddenly we have a lot of customers with this problem that they couldn't embed anymore web components into BAST. So now the supported browser is Edge on Windows. And we also noticed that our user, as time passes by, they try to embed more and more complex widgets, not just a simple web page as it used to be. So there was some more rich environment. So right now, what Edge provides is what is called a WebView2 framework. And what I will present in this talk is exactly that, is how did we manage to wrap WebView2 from BAST. And it's coming to the next release of BAST, which is BAST 2024. And this is what I'm going to present, basically, this integration. So WebView2, basically, it's a framework that allows you to embed web content, which is basically HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, into native applications, okay? So the idea is, as you can see in the screen, is that you can have your system is built on with some native widgets as well as some web widgets. So you have a kind of hybrid approach. So that's the whole idea of WebView2. Technically speaking, WebView2 uses the rendering engine of Edge, which no surprise. And the cool thing is that it provides an OLE interface. And that OLE interface is what allows BAST to communicate through OLE. So that's a very important point. It also needs to be noticed that WebView2 needs what is called the WebView2 runtime installed on the machine that you want to use it, which is not an issue because since Windows 11 is already installed by default. I think in Windows 10 you might need to install it, depend you may have it or you may not, but starting Windows 11 is already there. And so far only works on Windows 10 and 11. However, on Microsoft roadmap, you will see that Linux and Mac OS are on the roadmap. So as I said, our integration uses OLE for integrating VAST with WebView2. And this is a really rich communication and allows us bidirectional communication between Smalltalk and JavaScript. And we will see demos, how can we invoke JavaScript functions from a Smalltalk, how can we map Smalltalk messages to JavaScript functions, and how we can handle JavaScript events in a Smalltalk. And we will see demos for that, at least as much as I have time. So finally, before getting into the demos, I wanted to explain briefly what is hybrid applications. That is a little bit trendy these days. Basically, is that you do not need to decide anymore between going full desktop or full web. The idea is that you can be somehow in the middle, and you can try to get the best of the two worlds. Because if you see, for example, web applications have a much rich capabilities. On the other hand, native applications are usually more powerful, more responsive, and things like that. So the idea with hybrid applications is that you can be somehow in the middle, and that's the idea. Another idea is that we have a lot of customers that have native applications, and they want to move to the web. It's very common. They came to us, we want to move to the web, we want to move to the web. Okay, but sometimes going all or nothing or going everything one step is complicated. So these technologies allows you some kind of incremental adoption. So you can start doing some widget or some parts of your system web-based and let others as native. And of course, we can try to, for example, if we are doing a web component, we can use some JavaScript library available. For example, we can do, I did an example, which I'm not going to show it here, but I was embedding high charts, for example. So I was having a native application, and then I was using high charts, which is a JavaScript library, within WebView2. So there are a lot of possible usages of this. Of course, WebView2 is not the first to come to this party. We have, for example, Electron, which is very famous, that they do this similar thing. We have Chromium Embedded Framework, Tauri, well, and there are some others as well. But it's important to notice that Microsoft is already using WebView2 internally to build Office 365, Teams, OneDrive, and not completely, but at least parts of that are being developed with WebView2 and web technologies. So that's it about the theoretical aspect. So now we will get into the demos. But what if I told you that you have been living in the demo since the beginning of this presentation? And now I will actually zoom out, and you will see that I have, oops, sorry, my keyboard is in angle, so I will mistype many keys. But what I did to show you this is that I was using, and I have been rendering everything from a vast window using WebView2. And in fact, this URL, it's a Google Doc link where I have the presentation. So all this presentation was run within a WebView2 component inside VAST. So you can see this icon here. That means that this is a VAST window. So the next demo, so that was not the only demo. There are more. But something I wanted to show you, So I would like to make a clarification. This thing that you see here is like what we call an internet browser that we built just for demo. This is not the WebView2 support. The WebView2 support is this, what is below this, all these buttons, is this square with the embedded engine. This URL, the go button, and the refresh, all this is just for this demo. It's something that we built, like a browser that we built just to show the capabilities, okay? So it doesn't mean that when you embed something in your system, you will see all these buttons. This is just for this demo. So something I want to show you is that, let me go and clear the transcript first, because I wanted to show you a few things, is that, oops, no. If I go to, let's say here, and I type HTTPS, and we go to, it's very hard to type with the angle. So here we go to the instantiation website, for example, and if we, so now it has rendered this, and if we go to the transcript, something I did is that I can print each of the browser callback or event. For example, here I have the navigation starting callback, where I print the information I get in the callback. I can also, for example, I can hook on source changed callback. I can hook on document title changed callback. So, and DOM content loaded. So you can hook onto the different browser events and you can do stuff. So if you see how to do it, it's very simple. I have this class. It's where this internet browser, where it has my code. You can see here browser events. For example, DOM content loaded. I am just printing DOM content loaded and the print string of the callback. I'm doing that for most of the events for this example. But it shows you how you could hook on the browser events. Then, well, we can go to, I don't know, any page we want. We can go back. We can go forward. We can refresh, which you will not see because it's too fast, but you can refresh. Something which I think is very cool is that you can also define what do you do if WebView2 requests another window, which is the case of pop-ups of when you control click, that opens a new tab. Those are places where WebView2 would need a new page. So for example, if I go to click here, the plus button, this opens a pop-up on google.com. So the pop-up opens a new window, a new Internet Explorer. The same goes, for example, if I go to our documentation and this link, this opens a new tab if you go with your normal browser. So if I click here, now it opens a separate window with the documentation. So that's something you can customize. You can hook on what to do when the engine requires a new window. Then I think it's also interesting to show that you can have the development tools open. So I can very easily debug or inspect the different elements within my WebView2, which I think is very powerful when you are debugging. And then the most interesting demos would be to try to call JavaScript from Bast. But before doing that, I will show you the code first, and then we will execute it. So if we go back to our demo, there is a method which is called call JavaScript, which this method gets called when you click the button. So when I click the JavaScript button, it will call this method. And when I do, I tell to WebView, which is the internal WebView widget, which is what the user will use. And I say, OK, execute this string, and on complete, just inspect the result of that JavaScript script. And so that script will be very simple. What we are going to do is we are going to set some stylish to our website. We will put a green, yellow background color, and then we are going to put underline to all the text. And at the end, we will prompt what is your preferred programming language. But it could be any JavaScript. I choose something simple for this demo. And something I wanted to show is that we can even pass Unicode. Here I am passing an emoji. And if you inspect what I actually pass as an argument, this is a Unicode string, which is something is somehow new to Bast. And a Unicode string is a collection of grapheme objects. So if we go back a little bit, we will see here the Earth globe emoji that I embedded here. So all in all, what I want to say is that I am passing a full Unicode string as the JavaScript script. So, and then we inspect the result of that script, which in JavaScript is the last statement of the JavaScript, which in this case, the last statement is this one, the prompt. So it will be the result of the prompt, which is what you input. Okay? So let's execute this. Call JavaScript. Okay? We got the prompt. You can see the emoji there that was perfectly rendered. So I would say Java. No, I'm kidding. Smalltalk. And now I will also put an emoji in the browser. Okay? Just for fun. And now when I click OK, it will continue with the other JavaScript that I told to do, which was change some CSS. So I am sorry, Greg, you will hate how the site looks after this. So I'm sorry to do this to you, but this is the site now. It's beautiful, right? So the JavaScript worked because we see that the JavaScript to change the styles were executed. And I got an inspector where I got what I type, which was the return of the script. And even the emoji is working. So I think that's because we support full Unicode, and OLE interface can deal with UTF-16 encoded strings. And then the other is how to call a Smalltalk from JavaScript, which is the other way around. This one is a little bit more complicated, but it's the last demo I will show because, yeah. So the other one, it's like this. We are going to render this, and I will say that I want to +3 +4. And the result will always be 7, and it will be put here. So we will do it. You see the 7 there. OK, it looks simple. But what happened here is that the addition happened in Smalltalk. The 3 + 4 happened in Smalltalk. So that's let's see how I could do that. So this is again, it's a little bit more complicated. But what we need to do to communicate JavaScript and Smalltalk is to first declare what is called usually host object, which I call it Smalltalk bridge in this case, which it's very simple how to do it. You just declare a name, and that will be a host object. And then I can say, OK, for the JavaScript add, I want to execute add:2 colon with self. So I'm mapping what I want to call, okay? So then you can see here the HTML, which is what we saw here. So you have the header, here, the Smalltalk, hello Smalltalk, no. Sorry, here, the call Smalltalk method. We have the a button that says add, that call the function test add. And then we have the two inputs, 3 and 4, and the result. So this is nothing, it's simple. But the add here, this will call this function, test add. And if we came here, you will see that the first thing I did is I got that host object that I defined here, the Smalltalk bridge. So in JavaScript, I can get that object, and I store that in a variable that I call st, okay? So if we see the test add function, which is the one that we are calling for the form, it's very simple. We just get the value number 1, we convert it to number. We get the parameter number 2, which we convert to number. And then we say to this Smalltalk binding, we say, OK, add parameter 1 and parameter 2. When this happens, when this add JavaScript function add is executed, what will happen is that we will Bast will call the add2 of the Smalltalk side. And then what we do here is just we get the result that we got from here, and we just set it as the result, which is this input at the end. Okay? And so if you see the add2, if we see this method, which is this right here, you will see that I put some transcript to say, okay, adding and the print string of the two arguments, and then I return a plus b in a Smalltalk. Okay, so if we clear the transcript and we execute it again, just in case, we can start from scratch, and we call here. Now we go to the transcript and see that it actually went through there. So it actually went through a Smalltalk to execute the add. So that's how we can call a Smalltalk from JavaScript. There is one last thing that I will not show unless someone asks, or if someone wants to, I can show it later in the conference, is that we can also, this is the properties example, is that we can set JavaScript objects as Smalltalk instance variables. So we can save state there, for example, that pretty quickly, because I have some few minutes, but I won't execute it, but you can define properties which are instance variables, and you can define setters and getters. So then from JavaScript, you can use the bridge to either set or read, and that will call the setters or getters of our instance variable. So it's a slightly more complex scenario, but I just wanted to show you that. And I think that's it. Nothing else to show. You have questions? Okay. Okay, sure.
Have you tried to wiring up C-side as the backend for WebView?
Not yet. Not yet.
Shall we try?
Shall we try? Shall we try? Not now. Yeah, we could try, definitely.
The communication is using just JSON? Or?
Ole. The communication is through Ole.
Yeah, but if you are passing the JSON.
Yes. For example, in this case, yes, that's a good question. If you, where it is called JavaScript. In this case, the result is JSON. In this case, it was a simple input, but it's JSON. Yeah. If you have a more, in this case, it was just a string. But if you return a more, if the last statement is something more complex, it will be a JSON response. Yeah, good question. Yep. Any other question?
The communication between the JavaScript and Smalltalk is synchronous or asynchronous? I mean, if you set a breakpoint in the...
No, if you send a breakpoint, that won't work because it's asynchronous. There is a callback happening. That's why I didn't put a halt and I put the transcript. That's a good question. It's happening through a VM callback. So it's, yeah. That's a good question. Yeah, I want to also to thank Alexander. He's our instantiations VM lead developer, which is who developed actually this tool. I am mostly a user of the tool, but I just wanted to give a heads up to him that he did a cool framework. Anyway, so if there are no more questions, thank you again.